On today's wrestling news, AEW are having a creative shake-up.
An AEW star should be returning very soon.
The Rock's not going to be at WrestleMania.
AJ Styles, we got some updates on what's going down with this whole injury stuff.
Are you ready? Are you ready for the news time? My name is Phil Chambers. I'm joined by Gareth Morgan to talk all things wrestling news. But first up, AEW having a bit of a creative shake-up behind the scenes. And this is due to Jimmy Jacobs, who has left AEW. Now, this is all coming from Fightful Select. So Jimmy Jacobs resigned over the past week, but he's still on good terms with AEW. There's nothing bad going on behind the scenes. He is just suffering from burnout. Apparently, he has been working. He has been at the most shows of anyone that has worked directly with Tony Khan during his AEW time. So he has been at everything, doing all the creative, and he's just suffering from burnout. And it kind of happens when you're in a creative field, and especially something like AEW, when they've got a lot of TV shows to kind of cover. It happens, but it's not just AEW that he's been at. Before that, he was at TNA in the writer's room for there, and before that, he was in WWE. So he's been involved in wrestling creative for a really, really, really long time. So you can see why, your creative juices might end up not flowing quite as well. So he's leaving after suffering from burnout, and they're going to use it as a bit of an excuse to mix up creative and mix up the writer's room. What that exactly looks like going forwards is sort of up for debate, I guess. We'll have to wait and see on AEW TV. But yeah, they're going to a little bit of a creative shake-up within AEW. Maybe this is the kind of catalyst to sort of push them in a bit of a new direction, or get them to start looking at some things that haven't been working, and start putting some fixes in place to move forward.
Yeah, I think the product, it probably needs a little bit of that right now, just something fresh being pumped into it. Like, there are some great things still going down within AEW. Like, obviously, we've got Wrestle Dream this weekend, some awesome matches that are going to go down on that card. But I think storyline-wise, it's been a bit hit and miss, probably since the All In, All Out double whammy. I think ever since then, it's been a bit like, oh, what's the direction here? Where are we going? So it is a good time, I think, for this, if this ever was going to happen. I think now you've got Jimmy Jacobs, hopefully, now going off and having a bit of a rest and just recharging a little bit. And now AEW can just go, right, what kind of people can we bring in here that are just going to give us a different perspective as well? Like, I know a lot of the time when you're bringing in new people for creative in wrestling in general, a lot of people go, all right, we need to get experienced heads who've done it before. Yeah, that's a good thing, obviously. But I think now, with AEW especially being this alternative, it might be a good excuse just to find people who maybe don't have that first-hand wrestling experience, but have got that creative experience working on other kinds of media out there. So I think that could be an interesting thing, like somebody who's been behind a TV show before and just wants to come in and bring the storyline part of it, because the wrestling part of it's incredible. It always is. Like, no matter what in AEW, they always deliver.
Worked for WWE, who have built a writer's room around TV writers for ages, but then never actually listened to them, because it was Vince McMahon running the show, and he was the one ultimately saying yes or no. But now that he's out of the way, and the sort of creative side of WWE has been freed up a little bit, that writer's room seems to be cooking. So it's like, maybe it's not the worst idea.
And we're crying out for another big kind of story that you can invest in. Like, we've got the Hangman stuff right now, which is just like a little slow burn going down, but I think a few more of those that you can go, all right, I can follow this character and I can trust the process with it and see what happens. So yeah, hopefully that is what happens now going forward. But speaking of things that hopefully will be happening soon now in the not too distant future, a return within AEW, because Brody King was having a chat with Stephanie Chase. Obviously, Brody King's going to be having a match this weekend at Wrestle Dream. I think it's tonight, isn't it, against Darby Allin. So he was obviously having a chat about that, a few things, and then one of the things that came up in this conversation was obviously his House of Black teammate, Julia Hart, who we've not seen for 6 months now? It's been a while, been a long time. So he was asked, what's kind of going down with her and all the rest of it, and just a few other questions about her. And he said, I think we should be seeing her very soon. She's been dropping hints here and there, but I think she's ready to come back for her title. Obviously, she was the TBS champion for a while, and she injured her shoulder in a match against Layla Hirsch. That was on Rampage in April. And then she obviously kept on going through that injury so she could drop the title to Willow Nightingale. That title is now being held by Mercedes Moné. Could we see Julia Hart against Moné? That'd be an interesting match, surely. But yeah, on top of this, obviously, because he was just talking about Julia Hart within the House of Black, he said, I feel like character-wise and personality-wise, she is so far advanced from her years in wrestling and her age. She's only 22 years old. She's got the whole world ahead ahead of her, and she's already got a big step up on it. So I'm a big fan of Julia Hart. I love that the way her character kind of evolved within the House of Black, and then as she was holding that title, I thought she was one of the most compelling people within that division up until the point she got injured. So I'm so excited to see where she finds herself when she does return now in this division that's getting better and better week after week. So yeah, I think it's a good thing. Hopefully we see her very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think she's missed off AEW TV. It's like she's come a hell of a long way over the last few years, and you can kind of see her grow through her time in AEW. And it's like the original change to the sort of House of Black sort of style. Julia Hart was all her idea, in that she wanted to kind of push herself into trying something different. And it's 100% worked out in terms of her in-ring stuff, her character work, just coming on leaps and bounds. And I think she's one of those people where you just forget how young she is. Like, she's
22.
really not been doing this very long. And yet she's incredible at how sort of advanced she is in her career and her sort of ability at this level. It's kind of nuts. So yeah, it'll be great to see Julia Hart back on TV. Julia Hart versus Mercedes Moné is just really kind of fun and fascinating. And yeah, I think she's just been missed off AEW TV, definitely. So it'd be good to have her back.
Yeah.
But speaking of people having back, but also maybe not having back, The Rock appeared, obviously, at Bad Blood, randomly. But it appears he may not be at WrestleMania. So this is coming from Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. And I'm just going to read out the quote because it's a bit easier than to break down Dave Meltzer's writing. He says, while nobody can say it publicly, some with old school mentalities didn't like the idea that he stole the show and it's not building to a match. This is talking about Bad Blood, obviously. He's not going to be able to do Mania. He already gave word that he wouldn't be able to do that match when asked about The Rock versus Reigns versus Rhodes in a huge triple threat match. There was no specific reason given past we were told that different reasons were given to different people. What we do know is that Dwayne Johnson, when it comes to this, is either going to be all in, meaning a full training camp to get into the best wrestling and cosmetic shape he can get in, or all out. And he's just not going to do it at all. The story is simply his schedule got too heavy and he couldn't commit to doing it right. Now, Meltzer also stated that a person who would be intricately involved in the top of the card program said that he had no idea about creative plans involving The Rock, as things are largely kept secret from talent, so that's good. So this could be a lot of different things. It could be that The Rock's schedule just got too busy and they can't end up doing it, because he does like to throw himself full force into these kind of things, like we saw last year when he properly got back in ring shape and was training a lot before his match at WrestleMania. Or it could just be that he doesn't like the creative and he's playing his cards, playing his hand to get exactly what he wants from WrestleMania, which is, you would assume, a singles match, because The Rock doesn't really like to share the spotlight too much. So it could be just that creative isn't quite right, and once they figure that out, they'll get The Rock and he'll sign on and do a WrestleMania. Could just be that he's busy. It could be a lot of things, but I wouldn't say this is
all the work, Phil.
Exactly. Or it could just be all part of it. But I wouldn't say this is a definitive thing that The Rock isn't going to be at WrestleMania, because it's only October and WrestleMania is still 6 months away. There's a lot that can change between now and then, and this is the world of wrestling after all.
I can't wait for the next documentary. It starts now, baby. It starts now. It is bad that as a wrestling fan, you just don't trust anything you hear with this kind of stuff. Because, sure, this could be legitimately going on. It could be The Rock going, I think I'm going to be too busy. It could be a power play. It could be all these things. But at the same time, it could just be a big old smoke screen just to throw everybody off the scent of what is actually going to happen. So I'm just like, all right, cool. I'll take this now. I've seen how quickly things can develop and change in wrestling. Lest we forget, there was a point where CM Punk was not going to be returning at Survivor Series right up until the day, I believe we were doing reports of it, going, no, guys, don't get your hopes up. It's not going to happen. And then what do you know? Blew the roof off the place. So I don't trust this stuff anymore. But no, we'll just see. We'll just see in the weeks to come. They've got us talking about him, and it's October. You know what I mean? Exactly. So somebody's doing something right. Speaking of people that we've been talking about right now, because that's just a very easy segue, is AJ Styles within WWE, because AJ Styles had quite a weekend last weekend because he made his big return to SmackDown, the phenomenal forearm himself. And he seemingly got injured, and this was another one of those ones where as wrestling fans you're a bit like, am I watching the real deal or is this a work? I don't really know what's happening here. But yeah, he injured his foot, and then there were like backstage shots of him like having his foot checked out, and I was like, this is a work, they've prepped this. Apparently not. So Dave Meltzer in the Observer, again, the latest edition of the newsletter, he said that, Styles was legitimately injured, in that match. And he just got, I'll kind of go into the notes that he put here. So we've got Styles suffered a mid-foot ligament sprain in his singles match against Carmelo Hayes. While he started selling when landing on his feet after a quebrada and was selling an injury, so he was selling at that point, the leg went out when he was doing an ushigoroshi and the referee stopped the match. So the ushigoroshi thing was real. That was not selling. So he was pretty mad about the whole thing, understandably. Styles was to start a storyline where this would be his farewell tour and doing a retirement tease, and that's still the idea, like right now, at this moment, pending MRI results showing the severity of the injury. I'll be honest, I've not watched all of SmackDown, so I don't know if there is any kind of like appearances from AJ or any like just alluding to what happened. But according to this report, at least, it looks like it was the real deal. That AJ very much did hurt his foot in his first match on television for like 4 months. That's really, really bad. I feel for the guy. I hope it's just not as serious as it looks, or if it is, like, it's probably now's a good time to have this kind of injury, because hopefully he can be back for Mania season. Do you know what I mean? If it's not too bad, like, it's never a good time to get injured, but if you're going to do it like in this little bit, not on the road to WrestleMania, where WrestleMania dreams are dashed, because we don't want that. So, that's the update. That's the update on AJ Styles.
Yeah, absolutely. This was one of those ones where it's like, it was hard to tell during the match, because obviously like it felt like it was part of the story, but then when he did that like backbreaker thing on his foot, it was like, either that is like a really brave way of like selling an injury, because it's like you're just chucking a man on your sort of limp leg, I guess, or that was legit. And obviously turns out it was legit. But this is one of those things, hopefully it's not too bad, and he can kind of get back at it as quickly as possible. But then at the same time, if you were going to be going into a sort of storyline of like a retirement arch or something like that, maybe this could incredibly tie into it, in the fact that, I don't know how much longer I've got in this because my body is breaking. And then you can sort of sell the injury as part of the storyline of the thing of like overcoming the injury to sort of rally to some big retirement match or something. Like, there's a lot you can do with this in sort of a major story arc. So I assume they will bring that in, but hopefully, like we say, just get well soon to AJ Styles. Never a good time to get injured, but hopefully it's just a little thing.
The cat also wants to say get well soon to AJ Styles. That's
we made it. Oh, we made it now as well. We can't let them meet live on camera. So
this is Sky, and Sky's been running around my feet all video. So if you see me looking down, that's why, because she's been beating me up all video. But there you go. So there you go. Say get well soon, AJ. Get well soon, and just beat your dad up. Okay.
Salty's ignoring me, so we can't make them meet.
That's it. We'll have another chance, won't we, baby? Yeah, she don't care. She don't care.
Anywho, on that note, that's the end of the Animal Hour. I've been Phil. You can follow me over on Twitter and Instagram at PhilMyChambers, and you can follow Gareth
on Twitter at gmorgan04, and on Instagram at Gareth Morgram, and then at fitness.focus.gm. I always forget that one, but that's my fitness stuff, and we do loads of fitness talking, and there's loads of cats on it, as you can see, as well.
So. There you go. Join us next week on The Really Wild Show. Most importantly, have yourselves a bloody good day.
Meow.